I always thought my wife was just obsessed with our dog, until I followed her and watched her walk straight into another man's house with a stolen watch in her purse. The start of it was almost laughably ordinary. Saturday, right after dinner. Our golden retriever, Charlie, was practically spinning in circles by the door like his usual nutcase self, so I stood up to grab the leash. Nicole was already halfway to the basket, snatching it up. "Hey, let me do it tonight," I said, half reaching for the leash, half stretching my legs. She pulled back, quick and almost playful. "Nope, my turn." I grinned at her. "You sure?" "I don't mind. Maybe both of us." Nicole gave me that smile she reserves for strangers at dinner parties. "I want some fresh air. Alone time with Charlie." She gave my shoulder a little push, felt gentle, but weirdly dismissive. "Promise, I'll be back soon. Want me to bring you a coffee or something?" I shrugged, letting her win, but couldn't help noticing she was already lacing up her shoes with one hand, phone clutched tight in the other. I pointed at the phone, joking. "You expecting calls from the president or what?" She just rolled her eyes and dropped the phone into her jacket pocket, zipped up. "Just work stuff. I need to keep in touch with a client tonight." "That gala I told you about?" She didn't wait for my answer, just snapped the leash onto Charlie's collar and hustled out, calling over her shoulder, "Text if you need me." Pulled her to the window, kind of on autopilot. She was practically speed walking down the sidewalk, Charlie tugging her along, but Nicole kept glancing at her phone like she was waiting for something critical. I watched her pause at the corner, thumb flying over the screen. Then she looked back at the house, just for a second, like she was making sure I wasn't watching. I told myself not to be paranoid. Nicole loved these walks. She always said it helped her unwind after her event jobs. But tonight, she was gone way longer than usual. I tried distracting myself with dishes, scrolling through some car videos, but every time I looked at the clock, time crawled by. I finished loading the dishwasher, and when I looked up, almost 40 minutes had gone by. The door finally banged open, and Nicole breezed in, laughing breathlessly. Charlie shook off the rain by the doorway, looking way too happy for a basic loop around the block. "Long walk tonight," I said, keeping it light. "Where'd you guys go? The next county over?" Nicole didn't miss a beat. "We stopped to talk to Ashley, from the PTA. She's planning that fundraiser." She flashed her wrist, a little too obviously. "Look, she gave me this for helping her out. Can you believe it?" It was a delicate bracelet, silver with a tiny blue stone. Not Nicole's usual style, and definitely not something Ashley would pick out for anyone. I tried to smile. "Nice. She just had it in her pocket, huh?" Nicole waved her hand dismissively and laughed like I was the one being ridiculous. "You know Ashley. She's over the top about gifts." She set her purse on the table, but her hand hovered over it a second too long. I caught a flash of her phone as she slid it out and into the purse and zipped it shut, something she never bothered with after walks. Usually she'd drop her phone on the charger and immediately vent about Charlie's antics. Not tonight. I tried to keep my voice normal. "So what did Ashley say about the fundraiser?" Nicole didn't even look at me, already halfway to the bathroom. "Oh, you know her. Always something about centerpieces and donations. I need to shower real quick, I'm sweaty." She disappeared down the hall, door clicking shut behind her. Charlie flopped to the floor, tongue out, like nothing was wrong. But I just kept staring at Nicole's zipped purse on the counter, wondering why a walk with the dog suddenly needed so much secrecy, and why she was acting like I was intruding on her life. That night I lay in bed, Nicole's new bracelet glinting on the nightstand lamp, replaying her quick glances at the door, the zipped purse, her nervous laughter. I told myself I was being crazy, but my gut wouldn't let it go. And in the morning, I woke up feeling like there was a rock on my chest. The tension just hung there all day Sunday. Nicole acted completely normal, made pancakes, joked with Charlie, scrolled her phone on the couch, but now I watched her closer. Every time she touched her purse, every time she unlocked her phone. It all felt like a performance, and I couldn't shake the suspicion that I was the only one who didn't know my lines. Later that night, Nicole was in the shower after a run, humming to herself. Her phone vibrated on the bathroom counter, once, then again, buzzing so hard it almost slid off the edge. I glanced over, and for a second, my brain scrambled to process what I was seeing. Brandon. 3 messages. His name lit up with 2 heart emojis. The display preview showed, "Miss you already," and then a winking face. My mouth went dry. I know I shouldn't have, but my hands were shaking, and I picked up the phone just enough to see the last message. Another preview, same spot tomorrow? There was an address underneath. My ears were ringing. There it was, right in my face, evidence I couldn't ignore, and yet my mind was still scrambling for any excuse. My thumb hovered, and then the door squeaked open. Nicole, wrapped in a towel, hair dripping wet, face instantly morphing from relaxed to something wild and sharp. "What are you doing?" Her voice cut through the air, hard enough to make me flinch. I tried to sound casual, but my voice cracked. "Your phone was buzzing. I just wanted to see if it was work." She snatched it out of my hand. "God, Ryan, are you spying on me now? Seriously?" I opened my mouth, but nothing came out. She glared at me, towel clutched tight, sending water dripping onto the floor. "Unbelievable. You're being paranoid. Since when do you check my messages?" My face burned. "Nicole, who's Brandon? Why is he texting you hearts?" She scoffed and rolled her eyes, like I'd just asked her if she believed in aliens. "He's a client, Ryan. I told you, some people are just flirty. Stop being so insecure." I wanted to argue, but she was already storming down the hall, muttering something about trust issues and needing space. The bathroom door slammed. The only sound left was the fan humming and my own heart thudding in my ears. Nicole's bracelet sparkled on the counter, and I realized how much of a stranger she suddenly felt like. That was the moment the shock and dread really started to dig in, because with every answer she gave, I felt further away from the truth, and I knew I couldn't ignore it anymore. Monday evening felt stale, like the air had gone thick between us. Nicole was home late, still in her blazer, keys jangling as she dumped her bag by the door. She acted like nothing was off, asked about my day, gave Charlie a treat, then changed into workout clothes. I played along, but everything felt just a hair out of place. After dinner, Nicole said, "I'm going to shower before I crash. Can you feed Charlie if he starts begging?" Her tone was breezy, but she didn't meet my eyes. She took her phone with her toward the bathroom, then doubled back like she forgot something and set it on the hallway table. She never left her phone out of reach. Not once in the last year. The water started running, pummeling the tile. I kept half an eye on the bathroom door, the other on her phone, sitting there like a dare. Suddenly it buzzed. Once, then again, then again. The screen lit up with a single name, Brandon, punctuated by 2 little red hearts. I stared at the phone, swallowing hard. The hairs on my arms stood up. 3 messages rolled in before I even thought about moving. I picked it up, my hands sweating. I wasn't proud of it, but the urge to know burned right through my guilt. I thumbed to her messages, and there it was, a thread with Brandon. The top message, "Miss you already. Next time let's make it longer," winking face above that. "You left your lipstick on the sink. Love it." Then an address, one I didn't recognize, sent just hours ago. My stomach twisted. More messages scrolled back, red hearts, inside jokes, Brandon calling her trouble. Nicole replying with selfies, flirty banter, things she'd practically stopped saying to me months ago. I scrolled faster, trying to convince myself it was some kind of work joke, an inside reference I didn't understand. But the photos and the timing, there was no way to pretend. Her client was her secret. Their whole history was right there, and it wasn't just texting. They had meeting spots, times, little confessions. The water cut off. I nearly dropped the phone. My chest hammered as I hit the lock button and placed it face down where I'd found it. But Nicole's yoga mat squeaked on the tile, the bathroom door snapped open. Steam rolled out, Nicole standing there in a towel, hair twisted up, scanning the hallway. She spotted me, her eyes immediately sliding to the phone. "What are you doing?" Her voice wasn't gentle. It was sharp, suspicious. I put my hands up, like she'd caught me with a hand in the cookie jar. "Your phone was buzzing. I thought it was work. I'm sorry." Nicole snatched it off the table, holding it to her chest. "You thought you'd just check my messages then?" She laughed, but it wasn't funny. It was defensive, forced. "Wow, Ryan, a little paranoid, aren't we?" I tried to keep my cool. It kept ringing. I didn't open anything. I just checked who it was. She glared at me, her face flushed from the shower, or maybe just from anger. "So Brandon texted me. He's a client. I told you that. Seriously, you're acting like a crazy person. Next, you'll be installing cameras or something." I tried to swallow the panic. "He sent you hearts." Nicole cut me off, her voice rising. "You know some people are just friendly, right? This is exactly why I don't tell you about work stuff. You flip out over nothing. Can you please stop?" She turned, storming back toward the bedroom, still clutching her phone like it was her last lifeline. I stood there, the old carpet biting my feet, hearing her mutter about trust and overreacting. But the thread of messages played in my head, over and over, the name and the hearts and the address. Every denial made me feel smaller, like I was the one losing it. Nicole's laugh from behind the bedroom door sounded forced, brittle, echoing off the lies instead of the walls. Nothing felt safe or solid anymore, not even the house. I caught my own reflection in the hallway mirror, looking a little older, a little more lost. And that's when it clicked. She'd never let me close enough to get the truth, not unless I found it myself. I went to the kitchen, hands still shaking, and started making a list in my head of every little thing that suddenly felt wrong. Because the next time, I wasn't going to be caught off guard. The next time, I'd be ready. Tuesday came, and I'd made up my mind. Whatever Nicole was hiding, I needed to see it for myself. No more guessing. I waited until after dinner, acting casual as I rinsed 2 plates, pretending to scroll through my phone with one hand. Nicole was already halfway through tying up her sneakers, leash dangling and Charlie wagging at her heels. She didn't even ask if I wanted to come. She just called over her shoulder, "We'll be back in a bit. Don't wait up if you're tired." Her voice was way too bright, like she was auditioning for something. I gave it 5 minutes, heart pounding, then grabbed my jacket and slipped out the side door. I hung back, keeping Charlie's happy bark in earshot, slinking from tree to car to mailbox. The sun was almost down, that weird blue hour where everyone looks like a silhouette. A couple neighbors nodded at me, and I tried to look as normal as possible, just another guy walking off his dinner. Nicole was ahead, half jogging along the sidewalk, phone out, eyes flicking up and down. She barely looked at Charlie. Instead of looping left toward the park, she turned right, through a row of houses I didn't recognize well. I almost bailed right then, convinced I was being nuts, but I pressed on. I needed to know. She slowed at a corner house with a red front door, glancing both ways like she was checking for cars or prying eyes. My palms started sweating. Nicole rang the bell and stood with her head low, rocking on her heels. Door opened, and there was Brandon, broad-shouldered, baseball cap, easy grin. He looked past her, never noticing me, and I ducked behind a maple tree, trying not to shake. What killed me wasn't that Nicole looked nervous. She didn't. She looked giddy. They hugged right there on the step, like kids sneaking out of class. Brandon let her in, glancing down the street, his hand on the small of her back, casual and way too familiar. I crouched lower, every nerve buzzing. I could see them through the front windows if I angled it right. Nicole's bag was slung over her arm, and Brandon led her to the living room like this was just their Tuesday routine. I waited, fighting the urge to barge in or just run home and pretend I hadn't seen any of it. Instead, I watched. Nicole set Charlie's leash down, then started rummaging in her purse. She pulled out a watch, definitely not hers, some chunky man's thing with a blue face. My heart hammered. She handed it to Brandon with a smirk and said something I couldn't hear, but he laughed, tossing his head back. He bent down, kissed her quick, like it was the most natural thing in the world. My stomach dropped out. This wasn't some one-time mistake. They had a rhythm. Nicole looked so alive, so much more herself than she'd been with me lately. Brandon slipped the watch on, flexing his wrist like he was showing off a prize. Nicole leaned into him, her hand still in his. For a second, I saw her mouth the words, "Your turn," and Brandon fished something out of his own pocket, a little velvet pouch. Nicole's eyes went wide as he handed it to her, and she slipped it into her jacket. A car drove by and I ducked behind the tree, pulse racing, afraid someone would see me spying. My hand shook so bad I had to grip the bark. All I could think about was the way Nicole used to come home from these walks, flushed and laughing, dumping her purse on the counter like it was nothing. After a minute or two, they moved deeper into the house, out of sight. I backed away, half stumbling, desperate to put distance between myself and that front door. Every step home felt heavier, like I was walking underwater. The humiliation hit in waves, seeing her so happy in someone else's house, trading keepsakes like inside jokes, not even worrying about getting caught. Back in my own kitchen, I slumped onto a chair, hand still shaking. The house felt cold, too quiet, like I'd stepped into someone else's life. Charlie wouldn't even look at me when Nicole finally brought him home, like he was in on the secret. Nicole's cheeks were bright, her smile effortless. "Great walk tonight. You should try going that way next time. It's so pretty." I just nodded, biting my tongue so hard it hurt, because now I had proof. Proof I never wanted, and I had no idea what to do with it next. The next few days, everything in the house felt like it was shifting around me. I was loading laundry when I realized Nicole's old necklace, the one her mom gave her, the only piece she ever claimed had sentimental value, was gone from her jewelry stand. I checked again the next morning thinking maybe I'd missed it, but no, the spot was empty. Her favorite silver ring was missing too. The photo of us at Garden of the Gods, the one I'd framed on our dresser, had disappeared. I searched behind the dresser, under the bed, even in the laundry basket, but nothing. It was like the universe was trying to pull a prank on me, except this prank made my stomach twist. I waited for Nicole to be in a good mood before I asked, low stakes, like it would be nothing. We were in the kitchen, Nicole nibbling toast and scrolling through her phone. "Hey, you seen your old necklace anywhere? The one with the tiny bird charm?" She barely glanced up. "It's probably in one of my bags." "Why?" "It's just not there. And your silver ring, too. And even that photo we liked. I just noticed they're missing, that's all." I tried to keep my voice light, like I wasn't accusing her of anything, but she arched her eyebrow the way she does when she's about to mock someone. "Ryan, you always lose track of stuff. You probably shoved it all in some drawer while cleaning," she said, smirking as she stirred her coffee. "Or maybe the dog started collecting jewelry now." I pressed, a little harder than I meant to. "I'm serious, Nicole. That necklace is your favorite. You'd never just toss it into a drawer. And the ring? You wore it every day." She let out a short, sharp laugh. "God, you sound like my dad. Where's my keys? Where's my glasses? Next, you'll be accusing me of stealing my own stuff." She slid her phone away and looked at me, eyes narrowing like she was daring me to push further. Relax, okay? If you're this worried about a ring, maybe you need a hobby or something. I gritted my teeth, trying not to show how much that cut. I just thought it was weird, that's all. She snorted. You're making something out of nothing, seriously. Maybe you're losing your mind over nothing. You ever think of that? Her smile was cold, like she wanted me to feel silly for even asking. I let it drop. No way I was going to win that one. But every time I opened a drawer or glanced at her jewelry stand, it was emptier, little by little, more things missing. She never noticed or pretended not to. That Friday night, Nicole was in the den, pacing back and forth with her phone pressed to her ear. I was in the hallway, half out of sight, pretending to fix a stuck drawer. Her voice was high, giddy in a way I hadn't heard in years. I know. But the ring? Such an upgrade. You should have seen his face when he noticed. I almost laughed, she said, her laughter ringing out behind the half-closed door. Trade-ups, babe. I mean, what can I say? Souvenirs make things fun. Tell your wife to up her taste. Her stuff's so dated. I'm doing her a favor. She laughed even louder, then lowered her voice to a whisper I could barely make out, but I caught. He's so clueless, it's almost sweet. I stood there, frozen, feeling my face heat up. Nicole's voice carried on, but I couldn't move. My mind pinged between anger, humiliation, and a kind of twisted heartbreak. She wasn't just cheating, she was laughing about it, collecting memories of me and pawning them off in someone else's life. A moment later, Nicole stepped into the hall, pausing when she saw me. She pocketed her phone, eyebrows arching with that same mocking smile. Lose something again. Maybe you should make a list, old man. I didn't answer. I just stared back, silent, as she brushed past me, her laughter still echoing down the hallway. That was the night I realized this wasn't just betrayal. It was a game to her, and I was done playing along. I never thought I'd be the kind of guy sending midnight DMs to another betrayed spouse, but there I was, staring at my laptop, chewing a thumbnail, staring at a barely typed message to Melissa, Brandon's wife. I found her through Brandon's old birthday photos on Facebook. Her profile was a wall of family pictures, nurse memes, and nothing at all that hinted at suspicion. But I couldn't sleep, and after Nicole's latest round of trade-ups jokes, I knew I couldn't be the only one getting played. I finally typed, "Hey Melissa, this is a bit awkward, but I'm Ryan, Nicole's husband. Can I ask you something about Brandon?" I hovered over send for a full minute, my hands sweaty. I figured she'd ignore me, maybe block me. But almost instantly, a typing bubble popped up. Sure. What's going on? Even through text, it felt cautious, tense. I swallowed and replied, not sure how to say this. Do you trust him lately? Nicole's been acting weird. Stuff is missing from our house, and I think something might be going on between them. I waited. The cursor blinked so long I thought she'd bailed. Then I've had the same feeling. Brandon's barely home. Always picking up late showings. I'm missing a necklace, my old ring, and a pendant my sister gave me. He just says I misplaced them. I felt cold all over. Nicole's missing a ring and necklace, too. I saw her give a watch, one of mine to Brandon, when I followed her the other night. She told me I was crazy. Melissa's reply came fast this time. Wait, did your wife get a new necklace recently? I saw a photo on her Instagram last week. It looked just like my pendant. Blue glass, silver chain. I pulled up Nicole's feed. There it was, from 2 days ago, Nicole holding up a coffee at her favorite bakery, her shirt collar wide, that pendant perfectly clear. I screenshot it, sent it over. Melissa replied, "That's mine. That's 100% my pendant." Oh my God. Did she say where she got it? More typing. Brandon told me he bought it at a pop-up shop. I knew he was lying. The pieces finally settled in my gut, heavy and sick. Nicole's been bringing home jewelry, calling it gifts from clients. She's got a bracelet I've never seen before, and she gave Brandon my watch. Unreal, Melissa typed. She's got my stuff, and he's wearing your watch. Are they trading? Like trophies? I stared at that sentence, not sure if I wanted to laugh or punch something. I heard Nicole laughing about trade-ups on the phone. Honestly, I think they're getting off on it. Melissa replied, I want to cry or throw up. I can't believe he stole from me. She wore my necklace in front of everyone like it was nothing. We sat in silence for a minute, messages hanging. I typed, I'm sorry. I didn't know who else to talk to. I can't prove anything except what I saw. Melissa wrote, You're not alone. I've been thinking I was crazy. Everyone told me to trust Brandon. He's so funny and devoted, but he's just lying. I took a breath, steadied myself. What do we do? I don't want to just sit around while they laugh about it. Melissa's response was instant this time, like she'd already decided. Let's compare notes, Ryan. We both need proof. If they're using our things as tokens, it's only a matter of time before they trip up for good. I sent her another screenshot, this time a close-up of Nicole's hand holding coffee, Melissa's blue pendant resting over her sweater. Here, just in case you need to see it again. Melissa's next message hit me like a hammer. She attached a zoomed photo from Nicole's public Facebook, Nicole at a party, grinning with my ring on her thumb and Melissa's pendant at her neck. She posted this for everyone to see. I want them both to pay for it. I stared at Nicole's face on my screen, happy, smug, surrounded by friends, showing off stolen memories like they were trophies. It felt like the ground was shifting under me, but for the first time, I didn't feel so alone. Melissa typed one last line before logging off for the night. Let's get some real proof. Together. The chat hung open in the dark, a lifeline and a warning all at once. For the first time, my anger felt focused, like we actually had a shot at exposing them. No more hiding. I closed my laptop, feeling something almost like hope burning beneath the shock. A couple days after that late-night messaging marathon, Melissa and I actually met in person. We picked a coffee shop halfway between our neighborhoods, public enough to feel safe, but not the kind of place our spouses would ever wander into. I got there first, pacing near the pastry case, my stomach doing flips. She showed up 5 minutes later, hair in a tight ponytail, coat zipped to her chin, scanning the room with her nurse's no-nonsense stare. Ryan? She called quietly. I raised my hand, feeling like a kid caught sneaking out. Hey, yeah, Melissa, right? She nodded, slid into a chair, and folded her hands in her lap. I sat across from her, and for a second, neither of us said anything. Then she broke the silence, her voice sharper than I expected. I want to catch them together. No more doubts. I want Brandon to see my face when he realizes I know everything. I breathed out, relieved and nervous all at once. Same. I keep running the scenes in my head, but nothing changes unless we do something. I'm tired of feeling crazy. She leaned in, voice lowering. They're reckless. The way Nicole posts pictures, the stuff Brandon leaves lying around. Either they want to get caught or they think we're idiots. I fidgeted with my cup. They act normal at home, like nothing could possibly be wrong. Nicole still laughs at my jokes, asks about work. But then she's gone half the time and my ring's on her thumb and someone else's Instagram story. Melissa's jaw clenched. Brandon acts like a model husband. It's almost funny. He even asks me about nursing shifts, like he cares. Last week he borrowed my car for a showing and it came back smelling like Nicole's perfume. I told myself I imagined it. I shook my head, trying to find the right words. So what do we do? Do we confront them alone? Do we show their friends? I want this to stick. I want them to actually feel it. She gave me a long look, then something like a smile flickered. Let's make it public. Invite both families, their work friends, everyone. Brandon and Nicole will never expect it if we act normal. Pretend everything's fine. Let them plan one last little adventure. A nervous laugh escaped me. A big show, huh? Like a party? Not a party. A game night, she said, voice steady. Brandon's always bragging about how good he is at hosting. If I suggest it, he'll lap it up. You tell Nicole you're going, but say you might come late. She'll think she's in the clear. I nodded, hope sparking. We need undeniable proof. Photos, video, something nobody can argue with. Melissa nudged her phone across the table. I can set up a camera in the spare bedroom. That's where Brandon always shows off his collection. Watches, cufflinks, whatever else they're swapping. If Nicole slips off during the party, we'll have it all on tape. I grinned, real for the first time in weeks. We invite everyone. Both sets of parents, their coworkers. Make it big. Make it impossible for them to talk their way out. Melissa nodded, eyes shining with determination. We'll plant something obvious, like a new piece of jewelry, a trap. See if they go for it. If they do, we've got them. We sat in silence, letting it settle. For the first time, the weight in my chest felt lighter. I wasn't alone. Melissa was a force, steady, angry in exactly the right way. My phone buzzed on the table. I glanced down. Nicole's name, of course. Working late tonight. Don't wait up. Love you. Melissa saw my expression and raised an eyebrow. Let me guess. She's with a client? Brandon's supposed to be showing a house across town. I slipped the phone back into my pocket, voice flat. She thinks she's untouchable, but not for much longer. Melissa stood, zipping up her coat again. We act friendly, play our roles. They won't see anything coming. Her voice was low, like we were sharing the world's most dangerous secret. I nodded, heart pounding, not from fear, but because for the first time, I could see the ending. We had a plan, and I was actually looking forward to the next move. Game night at Brandon and Melissa's place was supposed to look like any other gathering. You know the vibe. People standing in clumps around the kitchen, laughter spilling out over bowls of chips, the clack of board game pieces echoing down the hall. But underneath all of it, everything felt wired, like we were all just waiting for a storm. Melissa and I arrived separately. I came in holding a store-bought pie and tried to keep my face relaxed as I hugged Brandon's mom and shook hands with one of Nicole's coworkers. Nicole floated through the room, beaming at everyone, holding her wine like a socialite, while Brandon moved from group to group with his A-list grin. Even now, the two of them kept stealing glances at each other. It was subtle if you weren't looking for it. Her brushing past him to grab a napkin. Him touching her elbow and nobody was watching. I caught Melissa's eye from across the kitchen. She nodded, tight-lipped. After a few rounds of scattergories, Melissa caught my arm and led me quietly down the hallway. It's in the nightstand drawer in the guest room, she whispered. A gold bracelet, huge blue stone. No one in this crowd could miss it. Cameras behind Brandon's bowling trophy pointed right at the bed. I nodded, my pulse so loud I could barely hear her. You sure it's armed? She flashed her phone, live video app running, green light blinking. We'll have them cold. Brandon's dad called out, Hey, Ryan, you coming back in here, or what? I called back, 1 sec. Melissa needed help with the drinks. We returned to the kitchen, and for the next half hour, I worked at pretending to be present, laughing at bad puns, pretending to listen when Nicole's sister showed me baby photos, even making small talk with Brandon about house prices. But my eyes kept darting to the hallway. Nicole was lingering by the window, fiddling with her wedding ring, her phone clutched in her other hand. Brandon hovered near her, always too close, always grinning. Melissa caught my gaze and nodded slightly. Showtime. We drifted toward the back stairs, pretending to refill our drinks. I saw Nicole whisper something to Brandon, then slip off toward the bathroom. Brandon waited a minute, grabbed a bottle of water, then disappeared down the same hallway. Melissa and I slid into the laundry room, phone screens glowing. On Melissa's feed, the guest bedroom flickered into view. There was the dresser, the bowling trophy, and, just visible, the bait bracelet gleaming under the lamp. We watched, hearts in our throats. 5 minutes passed. Then Nicole entered the room, glancing over her shoulder. Brandon followed, closing the door softly behind them. Nicole darted to the nightstand, pulled it open, and her face lit up. She snatched the bracelet and slipped it onto her wrist, turning it so the blue stone caught the light. Brandon moved in, brushing her hair back, and kissed her, slow, smug, like he owned the world. Nicole giggled, glancing again at her newest prize. They stood there, right in front of the lens, locked in for a few intimate seconds before Nicole tucked the bracelet into her purse. "Got you," Melissa whispered, her hands trembling. Outside in the hallway, we could hear voices getting louder. People calling for another round, someone looking for Nicole, someone else teasing Brandon about disappearing. In that moment, the tension was so thick it felt like the ceiling might collapse. Melissa's jaw was rigid, her eyes steely. I felt almost lightheaded with vindictive relief and sick anticipation. Back in the living room, Nicole reappeared, cheeks flushed, adjusting her hair. Brandon followed, bumping into her by accident, both of them laughing too loudly. Our friends and parents were none the wiser, joking, reaching for more snacks, ready to roll dice. Melissa leaned toward me, eyes gleaming. "We're ready," she whispered. "They have no idea what's about to hit them." And as I looked around at the crowd, at Nicole's parents, my own sister, Brandon's boss, all oblivious, it hit me that the game was really about to end. One more move and the whole table was going to flip. I don't remember who suggested Pictionary next, but the room was buzzing. Nobody except Melissa and me had any idea what was about to go down. I caught her eye and nodded, and that's when she set her phone on the TV stand and cleared her throat, louder than anyone had heard her all night. "Can I get everyone's attention for a second?" Melissa's voice cut straight through the chatter. Heads turned, laughter dying down. Brandon, sprawled on the arm of the sofa, shot Melissa a confused look. Nicole stood by the window, bracelet gleaming, wine glass half raised. Melissa didn't flinch. "I want to show everyone something. It's important." She tapped the remote and the TV flickered, first to black, then to the shaky feed from the guest room camera. There they were, Nicole and Brandon, crystal clear, caught in the act. Nicole rooting through the drawer, slipping the bracelet on, Brandon wrapping his arm around her, their lips meeting, her purse snapping shut around the stolen jewelry. The room went dead silent except for the tinny sound of their laughter on the video. Nicole's face lost all color. "What is this?" she choked. "Why are you spying?" Melissa didn't even look at her. "You're not just cheating. You're stealing. From your own husband, from me, all for a cheap thrill." Brandon staggered to his feet, voice rising. "Melissa, that's not what it looks like. Nicole, tell her. We were just..." Nicole whirled on him instantly. "Don't you dare put this on me. You said no one would ever find out. This is your fault." Brandon barked a desperate laugh. "My fault? You took the bracelet. You begged me to do this. Ask Ryan. She hates being bored." I stepped forward, voice tight and cold. "You think this is a game? You think swapping keepsakes and lying to everyone is exciting? Nicole, my ring's on your hand right now. Melissa's pendant is on your neck. You wore them in our house." Nicole's face twisted, lips curling as she scanned the room, our families, Brandon's parents, her boss, the entire friend group. All of you gawking like you're perfect. You want to judge? Fine. At least I didn't spend the last year pretending. Melissa's dad cut her off, shaking his head. Nicole, there's no excuse for this. None. Brandon's mom, trembling, pointed at her son. You stole from your wife, from your family. Who even are you? People muttered. Nicole tried to shove past me, but I blocked the hallway. Don't, I said quietly. Not this time. You don't get to run. She glared, her voice cracking. Get out of my way, Ryan. You always loved playing the victim. Brandon turned on Melissa, reaching for her arm. Babe, I can explain. This is all a misunderstanding. Melissa yanked her arm away, voice cool and sharp. You're not even wearing your own watch, Brandon. You swapped it for a lie. In front of everyone. The silence was broken by a few shocked gasps, some folks whispering. Nicole's sister burst into tears. Brandon's dad looked away, disgusted. Nicole hissed, I'm done with this circus. She tried for the door, but Brandon's mother stepped in her way. You're not walking out with stolen goods. Neither of you. The only thing you two know how to keep is secrets. Melissa tossed Nicole the bag with all the recovered jewelry, her ring, my watch, Melissa's pendant, the bait bracelet. Take your trash, she spat. You can wear it all the way out. The shame was thick enough to choke on. Nicole, cheeks burning, snatched up the bag and shouldered her purse, eyes wild with hate. I hope you're happy, she spat over her shoulder, voice shaking. All of you. Brandon stood frozen, jaw working, outnumbered, and finally speechless. Nicole stormed out, the door banging behind her, while Brandon's mother whispered, thief, right to his face. The room stayed silent for a long moment, the fallout settling across the wreckage. People stared, shocked and embarrassed, some too angry to speak. Melissa straightened her shoulders next to me, chin set, and the only thing I felt was relief that the truth was finally out, no matter how ugly. But the real ending, what came after, was still waiting for us outside that door. The moment the living room door slammed behind Nicole, the whole house erupted. You could practically feel the shock melting into open outrage. Brandon's mom was shaking, her voice breaking as she asked again, how could you do this to Melissa? Nicole's dad just stared at the floor, fist balled, while my sister muttered something about finally seeing the real Nicole. Even friends who'd only come for the snacks were suddenly whispering in tight knots, staring. Brandon stood in the middle of it all, still in the jewelry he'd stolen, looking for somewhere to hide. He turned to Melissa, reaching out with a forced helplessness. Can we talk? Not here, please, let's just... Melissa stepped back, her voice clear and cold. You can't explain this away. There's nothing left to say. Brandon's boss, some big-shot realtor with a tan and a gold watch, shook his head in disgust. What the hell were you thinking, man? You just burned every bridge for a cheap thrill. Brandon whipped around, his face blotchy. We made mistakes, okay? I can fix this. Melissa, please, can't we just start over? She didn't even flinch. Start over? With what, Brandon? Lies in someone else's ring? Nicole, still hovering in the hallway, tried to rally. She squared her shoulders, looked straight at me, her lip curled like she wanted to hurt, not just wound. You happy now, Ryan? You always needed an audience. Enjoy your little victory parade? I kept my voice even, not even looking her in the eye. I didn't do this for a show. I just wanted the truth out there. She glared, then turned on her heel. That's when Melissa crossed the room, blocked Nicole's path, and shoved a plain tote bag into her hands, heavy with the stolen jewelry. Take your trash and get out. Nicole looked around, desperate for an ally. None of her friends met her eyes. Even her own mom had her arms crossed, shaking her head. Brandon, still trying to salvage something, appealed to anybody who'd listen. It's not all what it looked like. Nicole was bored. She said so herself. Melissa, you know I've always loved you. A friend snorted. Yeah, you're a real romantic, man. Stealing from your wife is next level, though. Melissa's voice cut through the room. You don't get to blame Nicole or me or anyone else. Own it. You're a thief and a liar. Brandon's dad barked, Go after your little ringleader then. You two deserve each other. Nicole shot back, Don't act like you cared. None of you did, not really. But the room was over it. Nicole tried one last time to catch my attention, mouth twisting into a sneer. You only look good now because you look weak. Enjoy it, Ryan. I shrugged. I'd rather be weak than a fraud. People shuffled out of Nicole's way as she shouldered the bag, her posture rigid, but all the bravado was gone. She stalked out, slamming the door so hard a picture frame rattled to the floor. Brandon stared after her, then looked at Melissa, eyes glassy. Melissa just nodded at the open door. That's your ride. Don't come back. He shuffled past, ignored by his own friends, his mother muttering, Never thought I'd be ashamed of my own son. The noise in the living room faded, leaving just pockets of muted conversation. People consoling Melissa, a few quietly squeezing my shoulder. One old friend murmured, You did the right thing. Took guts. I managed a tired smile, suddenly aware of how much space there was around me now. Not lonely, exactly, but stripped bare. Nicole was on her own, her social circle shrinking by the second, and Brandon was left with nothing but a handful of angry parents and a reputation in ruins. Melissa met my eyes, holding steady. Let's get out of here, she said softly. And just like that, we turned our backs on the wreckage, ready to leave the mess behind. Outside, the air felt sharp and new. Melissa and I stood on the porch, the sounds of the shattered party still echoing behind us, raised voices, someone crying, the slam of a door. The porch light flickered, catching in the corner of my eye, and for once I didn't care what anyone saw. I just wanted to breathe. Melissa hugged herself, her jaw tight, but her shoulders finally relaxed. You good? She asked quietly, voice rough around the edges. I nodded, not trusting myself to say more. For the first time in months, my chest didn't feel like it was caving in. We stood there a moment, watching as people trickled out, some shaking their heads, and some back at the windows like they couldn't believe what they'd just seen. Nicole's parents left without her. Brandon's mom walked past us, wiping her eyes, muttering, He did this to himself. Melissa let out a shaky laugh. Guess that's that. We didn't need to say anything else. We just turned and walked down the driveway together, not looking back, not rushing, just moving forward, because there was nothing left worth staying for. As we reached the street, one of Nicole's old friends stepped out, tossing a glance over her shoulder and shaking her head. Tell Nicole next time she wants to play games, she should find someone who knows how to win,